Her stepmom stole the entire inheritance to pay for a dream wedding, so I helped my best friend hijack the sound system and play her confession tape during the vows. The judge slammed the gavel down. It made a sound like a gunshot in a library. Final. Brutal. I watched the dust motes dance in the air where the gavel hit. I couldn't look at Sarah yet. Judgment for the defendant. The judge droned. The entirety of the estate, including the marital home, the liquid assets, and the portfolio, is awarded to Mrs. Linda Vance. Everything. The house Sarah grew up in. The savings accounts her dad built for 30 years. All of it signed over to a woman who had been in the family for exactly 3 years. I looked across the aisle. Let's call her Linda. Linda was wearing this beige power suit that probably cost more than my entire wardrobe. She didn't cheer. She didn't clap. She just did this little thin-lipped smile. The kind of smile a shark gives before it rolls its eyes back to bite. Then, finally, I looked at Sarah. I've known Sarah since we were 6 years old. I've seen her cry because she dropped an ice cream cone on the sidewalk. I've seen her scream because she failed a geometry test. I've seen her handle pain. I braced myself. I was ready to grab her shoulders. I was ready to drag her out of there before she threw a chair at the bailiff. But she didn't move. She didn't blink. She just stared at Linda. It wasn't a sad stare. It wasn't angry. It was empty. Completely dead. Like the lights had been turned off inside the house. That scared me more than the screaming. If she cried, I could buy her tacos and tell her it would be okay. I could fix sad. I can't fix dead eyes. I looked at her hand resting on the table. She was gripping the edge so hard her knuckles were white, like bone trying to break through skin. "Let's go," she said. Her voice didn't crack. It sounded mechanical. We walked out. The hallway of the courthouse smelled like floor wax, cheap coffee, and misery. My heart was hammering against my ribs. I felt guilty, and I didn't even lose anything. I just felt guilty for witnessing it, for being useless. We got to the parking lot. It was raining. Of course it was raining. A gray, miserable drizzle that soaked into your clothes instantly. We got in my car. It's a 10-year-old Civic with a rattle in the muffler and a permanent smell of gym socks. The contrast between my junker and Linda's pristine, brand-new SUV parked across the lot was painful. I put the keys in the ignition, but didn't turn it. I just watched the wipers smear the water across the glass. I looked at Sarah's profile. She was staring out the window. People always ask me, "Why haven't you made a move? You two are practically married anyway." It's the timing. The universe genuinely hates me. Sophomore year of college, I was going to ask her to prom. I had the tickets. I had the speech. Then her mom died. Cancer. Fast and ugly. She died 2 weeks before I bought the corsage. You don't ask a girl out at her mom's funeral. You just hold the umbrella. You hand her tissues. You stand there and try to be a rock while she falls apart. So I did. We spent the next year just trying to get her through the days. Just when she started smiling again, exactly 1 year later, her dad brings Linda home. "Meet your new mom," he'd said. That was the end of the piece. Sarah saw right through her. I saw it too, but I was polite. Sarah wasn't. It was war. Screaming matches, runaways, total chaos. I couldn't be the boyfriend then, either. I had to be the escape driver. The guy she vented to at 2 a.m. when Linda threw out her mom's photo albums by accident. Then her dad got sick. Then Linda isolated him. Then he died. Then the legal battle started. For almost a decade, I've been standing next to her, watching her world burn down, holding a fire extinguisher that was out of foam. There was never a right time. There was only crisis management. "Look," I said, breaking the silence in the car. "We can appeal. My cousin knows a guy who does estate law. He's cheap. We can." "No," she said. She reached into her bag. She didn't pull out a tissue. She pulled out a piece of heavy, cream-colored cardstock, gold foil lettering. It looked expensive. She tossed it on the dashboard. It landed face up. She used the inheritance to pay for the venue. Sarah said. The wedding. Her renewal of vows with her new guy. It's in 2 months. I looked at the invite. The plaza. Top tier. 5-star catering. That's where her dad's life savings went. Into flower arrangements and champagne. "Okay," I said slowly. "That sucks. That really, really sucks. But Sarah, the legal fees." "I don't want the money back," she said. She finally looked at me. The dead look was gone. There was a fire there now. A cold blue fire. "I want to burn it down." My stomach did a flip. Not the good kind. "Burn it down metaphorically, right?" I asked. "Sarah," She didn't answer. She just looked at me. I have 8 weeks, she said. I need a driver. And I need someone to help me dig. Are you in? I looked at the rain hitting the windshield. I thought about my clean record. I thought about my job in IT. I thought about the last few years of biting my tongue and standing by her side while life kicked her teeth in. She knew I wouldn't say no. That's the worst part. She knew. I'm driving, I said. She smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. It was terrifying. Good. The next 2 months were a blur. We didn't hang out anymore. We plotted. My apartment became HQ. Pizza boxes stacked in the corner. Whiteboards on the wall. The place smelled like pepperoni and obsession. We weren't hackers. Sarah barely knew how to use Excel, and I was tech support, not Mr. Robot. We couldn't just hack the mainframe. We had to do this the old-fashioned way. We had to be detectives. She's lazy, Sarah said one night. It was 3 a.m. She was pacing around my living room, wearing my oversized hoodie. Linda is arrogant and she is lazy. She doesn't think she needs to be careful because she thinks I'm defeated. So how do we get evidence? I asked. The court already said we didn't have enough proof of coercion. We didn't have her private comms, Sarah said. We need her texts, her emails, which are on her phone, I said, which is locked. She gave me a box, Sarah said. I looked up. What? Last week, after the verdict. She dropped off a box on my porch, said it was Dad's junk that she didn't want in the new house. Sarah kicked a cardboard box in the corner. I hadn't even noticed it. We opened it. Old sweaters, some books, and at the bottom, sandwiched between 2 National Geographics, an old iPad. Is it wiped? I asked. Sarah picked it up. She plugged it in. The Apple logo popped up. It's Dad's old one, she whispered. But Linda used it for recipes. I remember seeing it in the kitchen. It booted up. Passcode required. Okay, I said. 4 digits. Did she change it? Sarah looked at the screen. Linda is the laziest person on earth. She probably didn't even bother wiping it or changing the code. She just logged in. So what was his code? I asked. Sarah's voice got quiet. My birthday. April 5th. I hesitated. 0-4-0-5. Sarah nodded. I typed it in. The iPad unlocked. Gotcha, Sarah whispered. It was better than we thought. Linda, in her infinite laziness, had logged into her primary iCloud account on this iPad to sync her photos, and she never logged out. We were in. We spent the next 3 weeks just reading. It was disgusting. It was boring. It was mostly receipts for shoes and complaints about her hair. But it was also us. Just us. There was a moment, about a month in. We were sitting on my floor, surrounded by printed screenshots. It was raining again. Sarah was reading a text thread between Linda and Rick. She looked exhausted. Dark circles under her eyes. You should go home, I said softly. Get some sleep. Can't, she mumbled. If I stop, I'll start thinking about Dad. And if I think about Dad, I'll crash. She leaned her head back against the sofa. Why do you do this? She asked. Do what? This. The driving. The late nights. The conspiracy theories. You have a life, you know. You could be dating. You could be normal. I looked at her. Her hair was messy. She was wearing sweatpants. She looked like a disaster. She was the only thing I cared about. I hate normal, I lied. And besides, who else is going to make sure you don't actually commit arson? She laughed. It was a small, tired sound, but it was real. Thanks, she said. She reached out and squeezed my hand. Just for a second. Then she let go and went back to the iPad. I stared at my hand. I felt like I'd been electrocuted. Tell her, my brain screamed. Tell her now. But I looked at the pile of legal papers and the grief on her face. Not now. The timing was still wrong. Then we found it. It wasn't a text. It was a voice memo. Linda liked to record her meetings because she had a bad memory. It was dated 3 months ago. Linda was talking to a notary public she'd hired privately. Yeah, the old man is out of it on the morphine. He doesn't know what day it is. He signed the amendment, thinking it was a medical release form. Just file it. He'll be dead in a week. Nobody will know. Silence in my apartment. The air felt heavy. That's it, I whispered. That is literal admission of fraud and elder abuse. It's audio, Sarah said. Her voice was shaking. It proves she tricked him. We take this to the police, I said. Right now. We nail her. Sarah shook her head. No, not yet. Sarah, this is the smoking gun. If we go to the police now, she gets a lawyer. She drags it out. She spends the inheritance on defense. The wedding happens. She marries Rick. She wins the social game. Sarah stood up. She walked to the window. I want to hurt her, she said. I want to take away the one thing she values more than the money, which is her reputation. She wants to be the grieving widow finding love again. She wants to be the queen of society. I want to strip her naked in front of everyone she tries to impress. She turned to me. We played at the wedding, she said. That's risky, I said. If we get caught, we get sued for defamation, harassment, wiretapping. We won't get caught, she said. We're going to be ghosts. The investigation shifted. We weren't looking for dirt anymore. We were casing the joint. We needed to know the venue inside out. The plaza. We couldn't just walk in. So we got creative. I called the catering company, Sarah said one afternoon, pretended to be Linda's assistant, and screamed at them about the gluten-free options. They were so terrified they emailed me the full load-in schedule and the floor plan just to calm me down. Social engineering, I said. Nice. We need to know where the audio feeds are, she said. We can't use the A/V booth. That's the first place they'll look when things go wrong. We need a remote drop. We spent a week building it. A cheap burner phone, wired into a 3.5mm audio jack, taped to a battery pack. Simple. Ugly. Effective. All we had to do was call the phone, and it would auto-answer and play whatever audio we fed into the line. The plan was simple: infiltrate. Plant the device. Get out. Watch the fireworks from a safe distance. Day of the wedding. We parked 2 blocks away. We were dressed in generic black catering uniforms we bought online. Black slacks, white shirts, black aprons. Ready? She asked. I looked at her. She looked fierce. She also looked terrified. We just walk in, I said. Act like you're annoyed. Nobody questions an annoyed service worker. We walked to the service entrance. There was a security guard checking IDs. My heart stopped. We didn't have IDs. Sarah didn't break stride. She was carrying a crate of heavy table linens we'd grabbed from the back of a truck. Okay, we stole some napkins. Move it, she snapped at the guard. These weigh a ton, and the bride is already threatening to fire us. The guard looked at her. He looked at the heavy crate. He saw the stress on her face. Go ahead, he grunted. He didn't even ask for a name. We were in. We navigated the back hallways. It smelled like roasting chicken and industrial cleaner. We dodged waiters carrying trays of shrimp. We kept our heads down. Ballroom is to the left, Sarah whispered. The main sound board is behind the stage, in the tech closet. We slipped behind the main stage curtains. It was dark, dust motes floating in the stage lights. We found the tech closet. It was unlocked. Of course it was unlocked. Quick, Sarah hissed. I found the main mixing board. I looked at the inputs. We can't use the main channels, I whispered. The sound guy will see the faders are up during his check. He'll zero it out. So what do we do? Sarah hissed. I spun the board around. We used the back door. I found the port labeled Emergency Page/Priority. It's an override channel used for fire alarms. It cuts through everything else and plays at a fixed, max volume, regardless of what the sound guy does. I plugged in our little Frankenstein device. I taped it to the underside of the table, hidden behind a mess of cables. Test it, I whispered. She pulled out her main phone. She dialed the burner number. The little screen on the burner lit up. Connected. It works, she said. I'm hanging up now. She ended the call. The screen went dark. The trap was set. We slipped out. But then voices. Check the stage. Make sure the flowers are centered. Linda. We froze. She was coming right for the curtain. Sarah grabbed my hand. She pulled me behind a stack of massive speakers. We squeezed into the gap. It was tiny. We were pressed chest to chest. I could smell her vanilla shampoo. I could feel her heart hammering against my chest like a trapped bird. Linda walked past us on the other side of the speaker tower. We could hear her dress rustling. Move those lilies, she snapped at someone. They look cheap. I don't do cheap. I held my breath. Sarah looked up at me. Her eyes were wide. In the dark, with the danger right there. The timing suddenly felt irrelevant. I looked at her lips. She looked at mine. For a second, I thought she was going to kiss me. I thought, this is it. This is the movie moment. Then Linda walked away and gave me a mimosa. Sarah let out a breath she'd been holding for a minute. The moment broke. "Let's go," she mouthed. We slipped out the back exit. We walked calmly past the guard. "Have a good one," I said. He nodded. We were clear. Ghost mode achieved. We sat in my car, 2 blocks away. We had a view of the venue's front entrance, but we were watching the live stream. Linda, in her vanity, was live streaming the wedding for her fans on social media. Sarah propped the phone on the dashboard. "Here we go," she said. On the screen, Linda was walking down the aisle. She looked fake. The smile was plastered on. The groom, Rick, looked nervous. The ceremony started. The officiant droned on about love, trust, and fidelity. "Get ready," Sarah said. She was holding her phone, the contact for the burner ready on the screen. "Wait for the vows," I said. "Maximum impact." We waited. The officiant said, "Linda, do you take this man?" "Now," Sarah whispered. She tapped the screen to dial. We waited 2 agonizing seconds. It felt like an eternity. Then, the counter on her screen started moving. 00102. "Connected," she whispered. She hit play on the audio file. On the live stream, we saw it happen before we heard it. Heads turned. Because we used the priority channel. It didn't matter what the sound guy was doing. The system treated the call like a fire alarm. The audio didn't just play. It hijacked the entire room. "Yeah, the old man is out of it on the morphine." Linda's voice. Booming. Distorted by static, but unmistakable. On the screen, Linda froze. Her mouth fell open. "He doesn't know what day it is. He signed the amendment thinking it was a medical release form." The crowd gasped. You could actually see the wave of shock ripple through the room. Linda started screaming at the sound guy. "Turn it off. Cut it." But the sound guy was frantically pulling faders down, and nothing was happening. The priority line bypassed the volume controls. "Just file it. He'll be dead in a week. Nobody will know." It played on a loop. Over and over. The groom, Rick, stepped back. He looked at Linda. He looked horrified. Then the second file played. The one we found of Linda talking to her friend about Rick. Rick is a useful idiot. Once the cash clears, we move to Boca. I dump him. And I take half his pension, too. That was the kill shot. Rick dropped the ring. He actually dropped it. He turned around and walked out. The live stream cut to black. Linda must have tackled the cameraman. In the car, silence. Then, Sarah started to laugh. It wasn't a crazy laugh. It was a relief laugh. Deep and shaking. She slumped back in the seat. "We did it," she said. "We actually did it." "She's ruined," I said. "The internet has that now. Everyone heard it. The witnesses. The family. The lawyers." Sarah wiped a tear from her eye. I feel like I can breathe." She looked at me. "Thank you. For driving. For the dumpster diving. For the iPad." "Anytime," I said. She stared at the blank phone screen. "So we run, right? We lay low." I looked at her. I thought about the recording. The clear admission of guilt. "No," I said. She looked at me, confused. "What? We don't run," I said. "We go back to the lawyer. The one my cousin knows. But we just humiliated her. Isn't that enough?" "Sarah," I said. I turned in my seat to face her fully. "That recording? It's admissible. Maybe not the way we got it, but now that it's public knowledge, now that there are 200 witnesses who heard her confess to fraud, the police have to open an investigation. The probate court has to reopen the case." I took her hand. This time, I didn't let go. "You don't just get revenge," I said. "You get the house back. You get the inheritance back. We do it right this time. With leverage." She looked at me. The fire in her eyes softened. "You really think we can win?" "I know we can. She's broken. She has no husband, no reputation, and soon no money." She squeezed my hand. "Okay," she said. "We go legal." "But first," I said, reaching for the ignition, "we get tacos." She smiled. A real smile. The one I hadn't seen since sophomore year. "I love you, you know," she said. It was casual. Quiet. My heart slammed against my ribs. I froze with my hand on the keys. She looked out the window, watching the rain. "I couldn't have done this without you. You're the only family I have left." My chest tightened. Family. Of course. She meant it in the shared trauma way. She meant, I love you like the brother I never had. I forced a smile, trying to hide the crack in my heart. Yeah, I said, my voice tight. Family. I turned the key. The engine sputtered to life. Turn it off, she said. I looked at her. What? Turn the car off. I turned it off. The silence rushed back in, filled only by the sound of rain drumming on the roof. Sarah unbuckled her seatbelt. She turned her body toward me, shifting in the cramped bucket seat. She looked right at me, searching my face. You're doing it again, she whispered. Doing what? Assuming you know what I mean. Being the nice guy who stands in the back holding the umbrella. She reached out and took my face in her hands. Her palms were warm. When I said family, she said, her voice trembling slightly, I didn't mean like a brother. I don't look at you like a sibling. I never have. My breath hitched. Sarah, family isn't just who you're related to, she said. Her thumb brushed my cheekbone. It's who you build a life with. It's the person you want to wake up next to when the nightmare is finally over. She leaned in. The space between us vanished. I'm tired of running, and I'm tired of fighting, she whispered against my lips. I just want to be with you. Not as your friend. Not as your driver. She kissed me. It wasn't a movie kiss. It was awkward because of the gear shift, and it tasted like stale coffee, but it was electric. It was 10 years of missed timing, finally catching up in a single second. She pulled back just an inch, resting her forehead against mine. So, she whispered, are we clear on the definition of family now? I let out a breath I felt like I'd been holding since college. I wrapped my hand around the back of her neck, pulling her close again. Crystal clear, I said. Good, she murmured. Now drive. I'm starving. I started the car. The wipers cleared the rain. The road ahead was open. I was an accessory to public humiliation, wiretapping, and trespassing, and I had never been happier in my entire life.